Hello and welcome back. We are today Widdowmaker racing at the races. We are doing Gr4 League round 2. We're at Lago Maggiore, East End Reverse, as per the plan. This is the standings from last week after the first round. We've got BB out in front, JB in second, Widdowmaker and NW all tied in second, with Big Marsh in 5th place with 16 points. As we introduce the field, Roger qualified in first place from qualifying, which reverts the grid, which puts him back in 7th. Roger from the USA, but originating from Brazil, he put in a 46.110, as you can see by the livery on the car, very much centre-esque. And NW 555, UK-based racer, spends a lot of time travelling with his job, and he's about to miss a couple of rounds of the league purely because he's going on vacation. He qualified on 6th with a 46.224. In 5th place, BB in a beautifully clad Hurricane. Absolutely stunning paint job from the Netherlands. A racer that's joined the group just a little while ago, qualified in 5th place with a 46.273. Fastest time for himself in qualifying. Big Popper from the Great America with an absolute stunning livery matching his own personal car. He's one of our channel members and he's qualified with a 46.410. Myself, soon to change livery. I've been told I've got a new one, painted by our league painter. I qualified with a 46.562. You all know me, deadly backlight, the latest member to the group. Just getting used to Gt7, getting equipped with the car and learning to skin as well. What a good livery. A 46.958 put him second on the grid with the reversing. And Big Marsh, Marco, after winning last week's round with a stunning win based on pace, evenly paced race, and he qualified with a 47.062, which ultimately, with the reverse grid, the slowest time puts him out front. And as we join the leader in the first lap, there he is, leading the field out. Deadly in second, no changes through the first corner. Widdowmaker in third. As he's coming up the back straight, she sees Deadly move to the left hand side and brakes early. Widdowmaker taps the brakes, hits the back of Deadly's car, and then tries to go around the outside but runs it too far onto the grass. As we see from Big Popper's car, he comes up tight side. He's just going to dive up the inside on Deadly, shoots too far through the grid, but unfortunately gets tapped at the back end into the fence. Widdowmaker comes through, hits him, bounces off, and hits Roger, and Popper's sideways on the grid. And we can see Widdowmaker pulling over up front. Something's not quite right with Widdowmaker's car. He is running slowly through the grid, trying to work out what it is, but also wait for the guy he pulverised into the wall. So Big Popper resumes, and Widdowmaker in 7th place. Not his usual on qualifying. He qualified way down the pack compared to what he used to be. Just something not right with the car. So Big Marsh onto lap 2 is setting the pace. Purple lap as it would be with any lap 2. Coming around, setting the pace, giving everybody else the lead. Roger with the big advantage, got tapped by Widdowmaker coming through that final turn last time out, but actually made places on the run through that incident. NW dropped back down the field slightly. Roger picks up a penalty by just shortcutting that S's, and we're going to see quite a few of those, I think. The benefit of this course is you actually get to scrub off those penalty points rather quickly as you come through, because that penalty line is at the back straight. So let's just refresh where we are over that fun-packed couple of laps. Big Marsh out front, again setting a personal fastest lap. Deadly backlight picking up the actual fastest lap of the race so far, a 47.260. Deadly's up to stay in his 2nd place, BB in 3rd. Roger progressed up to 4th, as we said, but here comes Deadly again, keeping the pace on. We just see Widdowmaker tail him up the rear. So as we make our way up the back straight onto lap 4, race looks to be settling down, people finding the pace, getting used to the track surface. We've got equal conditions from qualifying, so everything's pretty neat and tidy. BB just applying pressure behind Deadly backlight just there. But Deadly keeps everything organised and pretty straightforward. No major dramas at this point. Big Marsh leading round onto lap 5. Quite a distance back to Deadly. Not much chance of an overtake here. Oh, but Deadly seems to have dived for that one. Clips Big Marsh, pushes him wide, puts him off the track. And I don't know whether that intended to be such a late braking manoeuvre. Spotted an opportunity but pushed Big Marsh right out the way. Who lost out to BB as well, who made it up to second place. Let's check the replay. Yeah, Big Marsh seems to see Deadly come down the inside. Deadly goes for the gap, puts the car door against Big Marsh's car door and shoves him off the track quite unceremoniously. Probably not something that you should recommend. Roger comes up the inside of Big Marsh but thinks more of it. Coming into the final 90 left. Big Marsh just holding off Roger. Roger's been moving through the pack quite quickly, starting to set the pace, just getting used to it. He's moved up from 7th on the grid with the fastest lap. Big Marsh must be feeling frustrated at having lost 2 places there from such an innocuous move. Maybe there's something for him in the future not to leave such a wide entry, not leaving the door open. Widdowmaker takes to the pits early, you can see there, just taking on that set of hards. Maybe he was thinking there was some problem with tyres, and Big Marsh gets nudged again. Roger just bumps him wide and pushes him off the circuit. Let's take a look at it from Roger's car. He's actually gaining, you can see that. He goes to the inside line, brakes down, but he's nowhere near the apex. He slides through, clips the side of Big Marsh and pushes just Big Marsh off the track. It looked clear that Big Marsh was actually trying to leave room on the inside, but Roger decided to take some more. Bit of an unfortunate move there, probably just a missed braking point with moving up the inside, but he definitely carried through and cleared Big Marsh off the track. And Big Marsh now down to 4th, now battling with NW 555 just to try and hold on to that 4th place, and he makes a mistake, runs 2 tyres onto the grass. NW just gets in front. Big Marsh was out there leading the race just 1.5 laps ago. You can just possibly see there, this is probably just making the anger boil. He's looking like he's got the line on NW. NW closes the gap, forces Big Marsh up onto the curb, and Big Marsh just makes his way down, totally frustrated, one would imagine. Not the best display of overtakes from the drivers. Relatively clean by NW though, can't knock that. There wasn't any problem with where NW's going, and we'll see that here. NW just runs a bit wide as he makes the overtake. Big Marsh just trying to squeeze down a gap that probably isn't there. NW manages to keep the car on the track. Big deep breaths, keep moving on, make the next corner. The race is but young. So back to the front. Deadly backlight leads the pack, fastest lap of the race, and he's just put that in on the previous lap, a 47.131. BB up to 2nd, looking good, and Roger promoted up to 3rd. The opening 5 to 8 laps seem to have been more daily races than lobby racing. I think everybody needs to understand that these 60-minute races are more than just the first corner, the first pit stop, the first couple of laps. There's a whole race to go, and if this was real life, those kind of incidents wouldn't have just put the person that got hit off the race, but there's potential you'd have broken a front suspension strut, turned your steering in, damaged the front wing, potentially changed the rest of the race if it was a real life event. Let's just catch up with where we are, get off the soapbox for a little bit. So Deadly backlight leads the race. He's on lap 9, BB in 2nd, Roger in 3rd, NW in 4th, Big Marsh we're focusing on now in 5th place, Big Popper in 6th, and Widdowmaker in 7th. We haven't seen much of Big Popper since he got piled into the barrier by Widdowmaker, but there he is in the background charging up the hill. Let's just stay with Big Marsh for a couple of moments and just make sure just keeping it on the track, and he's got his mind focused and back on the battle. There he is, he's improving his lap time. Let's hope he recovers that and starts to make progress. Back end of the car looks twitchy there as he comes into the S's. So we've had one pit stopper so far, that's Widdowmaker, changed from hards to mediums. Trying to just get a bit more performance out of the car. He's still running slowly around the back. His deadly backlight comes to the top of the back straight to take the 90 left. Fastest lap of the race holder at a 46.975. Just progressing nice and steadily. Some big changes from Deadly in his performance over the last couple of weeks. He looked kind of out of sorts at the first race, but made some adjustments last week with some help of the guys on recalibrating the wheel, and it's starting to come good. He's also taking to skinning the car, as we said at his intro, and this is his own design. Very nice looking chrome reflective paint job. He's holding a real nice straight line. BB in second place. NW's taking to the pits, our second stopper, on just on 75% fuel. We know he hates the hard tyres, so he's going to come off them and go to a different tyre. We won't know this yet. We're sure he won't take any fuel at this point. Here he goes looking out the pit lane. So he's going to drop down to 6th place. And he's going to drop into free air. And aim to start to make progress. Aiming to undercut the rest of the field. Widdowmaker running around already lowly. There's definitely a problem with that car. We can see the back lights flickering on as he comes out the corner, which seems to indicate there's something wrong with the traction control, but we don't know what that is yet. As we come round to the start of the next lap, back with NW. The potential here, we could see him start to put in some quicker laps, maybe take that fastest lap off Deadly. We're on lap 12. Let's see if he makes a purple sector at the first timing point. There it is, just 1 and a bit tenths underneath the target time, so Deadly's backlight's fastest lap is under thread at this point. Here Neil comes through the line, a 46.867, so a tenth faster. Come to expect nothing less from Neil. Setting the pace early, really starting to apply the pressure. The difference being is that he's hoping for the opportunity for these guys to pit, and he's put in the early quick laps and made the difference. He didn't take any fuel as we watched Deadly come round into the first turn again, taking a slightly narrower line than everybody else, and that probably leads to the incident in turn 1 with Big Marsh, where he takes a much narrower line, thinks he can get to that apex quicker, but in doing so the car taking the wider line cuts back to the inside apex. It's a difficult judgment to make. If you're going to go for that one, you have to be there quick, and the driver has to see your intent. So BB and Roger now looking like they're set up for a bit of a battle. This could be the first big contender fight of the race. But you know what the big surprises me is these two guys are moving very quickly, and the biggest surprise is Deadly not looking like he's slowing at all, as BB just loses the car a little bit on that inside curb. Roger now sees an opportunity, and BB runs it wide, having to leave space on the in-5 for Roger, and BB just takes it back to the track, but he's lost that traction out the corner, and he watches Roger go straight up the hill away from him. It'll take all his cunning guile to actually get that pace back. Let's see what we can do through the next few corners as we watch Roger now chasing after Deadly. 15 very quick laps gone already. NW fastest lap with a 46.867. We'll soon be into the pit stop window for some people. So Roger comes round to in second place now, chasing down Deadly. All we never know at this point of the race is what tyres they actually started on. That's something that the drivers go to the starting grid on their own, what they know. We can't see it from the driver's position. I have the benefit of being able to check the replay and see it, but I'm not going to surprise anybody with that right now. Other than knowing that there's a potential Deadly could be running out of tyres at this point and have a desperate need to change. And that would just hand the baton. And here he goes, he is in the pits as expected. He's on softs, so he's managed to pull 16 laps out the soft tyres, which is pretty impressive. We'll just have to see what tyres he goes to. Roger now takes the lead. Here he comes in on the softs, as we can see. On go the next set compound. And as we all know in these races, when you're pitting in this race, you have to use all compounds, the softs, the mediums and the hards. So he's now chalked off the softs and the hards and can run the mediums at his next stop if he chooses to do so. As we now look back down the field to NW in 6th place. Put in 2 very quick laps, 46.867, 46.889, which would both be poles of the fastest lap. And his last 3 laps in the 47s, very low 47s, making some quick time. He'll expects to be, I would suggest, that he would be clicking through the field as each one goes off and pits. But he doesn't, he fails to come out ahead of Deadly. Deadly's got away clear at the front. I say at the front, Deadly's dropped down to 5th after his pit stop, but he's still ahead of Neil. That was quite a distance back to where Neil was when he pitted. So by default, Roger takes the front of the pack. He is now 1st place, and we're waiting for the next people to pick up their pit stops when they arrive. Lap 18 moving into lap 19 now for Roger. As he shoots off down the hill through into turn 1. Not taking quite a wider line as some, but not as tight as others. Again, it'll be interesting to note when these guys choose to stop. 20 laps seems to be about the most for people on even the hardest of tyres. Just have to see where we go. Roger comes round and takes the pits. That'll give the 1st place to BB. Big Marsh in 3rd place coming round as Roger. Oh, we see BB going down into 1st turn, and Roger takes the pits. Coming off a set of hards. We get to see what tyres he takes. Will he take any fuel? No, he's not taking fuel and he's away. He's on to mediums. So Big Marsh comes through in 2nd place, chasing BB down. Both Big Marsh and BB yet to pit. These guys are really, if they're on hards, they're going to start to push these hards as far as they can possibly go. No, BB just does 1 extra lap, bounces off the pit wall on entry, and he's only used 49%, 51% of his fuel, leaving 49 available as Big Marsh goes to take the lead back where he was, back at lap 5 before the incidents began. So BB with a really efficient 1st stint. He's back out on hards again. So let's see where he comes. BB drops now. He's just come out behind Neil, so Neil has made progress. He's been able to take the undercut and really start to get in front of people, but that would suggest to me he's on soft tyres at this point. Or would it be mediums? I believe he's actually on mediums. Looking at my notes. So Widdowmaker comes in. He picks up a penalty of a 2nd. Oh, I wonder where he got that. He doesn't even know himself at this point. As he comes out the pits, as Big Marsh comes around to just take the next lap, lap 22 in pole. This is what we saw demonstrated by Big Marsh last week's race, is the ability to run consistent, even tame laps, not too much drama, just putting in consistency over consistency. Get into free air, start to get comfortable, run that rhythm, stretch those tyres, stretch that fuel. It's a great trait he's able to exploit. So Roger in second, pushing hard, Big Popper in third, NW in fourth, BB in five, Deadly Backlight in sixth, Widdowmaker in seventh. The only person yet to stop is Marco, Big Marsh in first place. Just starting to see the battle between BB and NW 555 starting to take shape as BB puts in the fastest lap of the race so far of 46.768. Actually in the slipstream and Neil there, there's potential for more. Is he going to be able to make the move at this final corner? I say final corner, it's turn 2. He does, the apex is early, takes the orange curb and NW gives him the room required. That's a couple operative overtake. If ever I saw one where people give each other room, they know the move's going to happen. NW dives down late into the hairpin, but no over defending, realising it's a longer race ahead and taking the opportunity to understand each other's different pace and different strategies. As Neil picks up a half a second penalty coming through the S's, must have got something fractionally wrong there. So that's going to be the difference between the two. That's got to be frustrating for somebody who's just been able to make the undercut work but then lose that place. So we flick back to second place to see Roger pushing on, understanding now that he's on his medium tyres. And if he realises that Marco is yet to pit. We're now on to lap 24 of the race. Marco picks up a penalty. Where did he get that from? Probably the same place that everybody's picking them up from. As you come out of that final corner and you run through those S's, if you just get an inch or two wrong on those first entry and exit curbs, it can really make the difference. And that half a second is just a frustration. It allows the person behind you to catch up, get into the slipstream and then capitalise on that process. Marco defending well but leaves the door open and Roger just slips his nose down the front, tries to put it, but Big Marsh defends really, really well. Just gets that 4C big and bold in front of the 458 and leads his way across the line, but it can't be for long. Big Marsh's tyres must be on the edge right now as he slides into the corner, but Roger's got much better traction on the mediums as NW goes back to the pits. Roger's got the traction up the hill, he leads through the penalty line, he's got in front by the second corner, and that's Roger back into the lead after the pit stops. So with all those pit stops concluded, NW is on softs by the looks of it. As he's gone into the pits, where's he going to come out on? My guess is he's back on the softs. And he's in 5th place, so he's gained 1 place in that round of pit stops. Big Marsh now goes to the pit stop. We've got to be on lap 26. And they were hard, and it looks like, well, we'll get to see what tyres he goes to. As he then takes on some fuel. He's got to fuel up for his set of tyres. He goes to 74% and he's back out on hard. He's back out on mediums. The graphic didn't update just then, but there he is. He's on the inside pit lane. We can see NW come past him. So NW's pit stop again promoted him a position. As we drop back to watch Big Popper coming up the hill. We don't see much of Steve at this point. Big Popper is just trying to make progress back up, but he's been able to catch back up to Big Marsh. There's an incident happening ahead. We're just going to stay with this battle. And those flags are now cleared. Big Marsh Big Popper comes round to finish the lap. And here's the replay of that incident that just occurred. Deadly backlight coming down to the final turn. Flies it over the hill, actually gets air, misses the braking point, hits all tyres on the grass, spins it round, brings it back to a stable stop before he hits anything hard, and he's able to get going again. Don't know how he managed to get air there. But here we go, another replay. What's happening here? I'm just looking at the corner of the left hand side, and BB's picked up the fastest lap of the race, as we can see, at 46.768. He's just put in a 46.440, but we're going to continue to stay on board just to see what kind of lap he's going to pull out here as he executes turn 1 cleanly. Driving up the hill, he can see Roger in front and Big Marsh in front. This is just a couple of lap backs. This was lap 25 whilst we were watching the replay of Deadly's little incident. Beautifully through turn 2. Real smooth and effortless, not much turning on the wheel, only enough to get the car around the corners. No massive soaring at the wheel. Around that final corner, through the S's, nice and clean. You can see the white dots where you just need to run your tyres. Comes through the final corner. What time are we going to see? It's a 46.310. Fastest lap of the race again by over a tenth, and he did that over 5 laps. A 46.768, a 46.440, and a 46.310. A lovely set of lap times there mid part of the race. So we're coming up to the halfway point approximately, as we now see Deadly backlight in 3rd place, BB in 2nd, chasing down Roger, who actually isn't that far away. He's just 10-15 car lengths away, pushing in those laps. We're going to start to expect to see maybe some further pit stops fairly soon. Anybody that took mediums or softs after the hards is probably going to be looking to start to pit. So BB in 2nd place now, just progressing up through the field. He's now 4 laps in after that fastest lap. Down to start lap 30. Flip back to NW in that Italian Ferrari there. NW did suggest that he would be changing skins to suit the country of the race. So as we're in Italy this week, he's gone for a Ferrari Italy skin. Great little thing to be able to do that, to be able to skin in the game. It's not a talent I've progressed to at this point. Too much time making videos. However, let's focus on where we are. BB. Camera's back to BB as he pushes on, chasing Roger down. Will we see another fastest lap? No, not just yet. We're going to flick back to NW to pick up what's going on with him. As I look down my notes to try and understand where we are. That battle between Big Marsh and Popper is starting to evolve a little bit. The distance isn't growing. Widdowmaker still trundling around his 7th, still plagued by problems. Can't work out why the car doesn't handle the way it should do. Roger coming round, not that far behind Widdowmaker now. Widdowmaker just coming up to halfway in the race, just coming under threat of being lapped. NW's just popped in the fastest lap of the race, a 46.096. Back on lap 31. So that pit stop sort of worked out well for him, able to make those time. He's up to 3rd place, having passed Deadly at some point, probably through the pit stops. It was. Deadly lost that place in the pit stops as we flick back to BB. BB at this point involved in no incidents, just running clean and fast and true. Actually started off the grid in 5th, so he's progressed 4 places up to 2nd. BB there dives into the pits to take with the soft tyres on. That's why he was able to put in those fastest laps, but he noticed Neil has taken that time. So we were going to go for another set of softs, or we're going to move to mediums. We're going to fill up, currently on 18% of fuel. He's up to 39, so he's gone a set of softs again. So there's another potential here for the fastest lap to drop if BB can put it together. NW up to second place as BB comes out the pits. You can see NW ahead. So as the events roll out, we've got a little slight lack of synchro on the pit stops. NW is slightly out of sync, having run a shorter stint on the hards, which would be his preference. So we're going to get some back and forth over the next 10-15 laps as people start to pit and it starts to smooth out the difference in pit stop strategies. The ideal with this process is that you can pit around each other by pitting slightly out of sequence, getting into free air and not having to follow another car. Sometimes it can be quicker to follow other cars, but on these kind of races where you've got to use all the tyres, the criticality is where the individual choice to run the tyres at the time means you could get stuck behind somebody where you've got equal pace, and that can happen with different tyre sets. If you can't get past, you're going to be stuck behind them for 5 or 10 laps until you pit or they pit. And that's probably why the frustration happens at the start of the race when we get a bit of door banging going on, because people are trying to get to their strategy. We shouldn't actually be relying on that though. We should be looking for clean passes. We should be looking to be respectful to each other, to actually make these passes happen without sending people off the track. However, get off my soapbox again. As we focus on Roger, he comes round to start lap 36. Whilst he had the fastest qualifying time, currently his fastest lap of the race is a 46.576, so I'm half a second off the fastest lap, but I'm not seeing Roger running the softs yet. He's still running the hards. Nope, he's on the mediums I believe, not on the hards. Where are we, lap 36? Kind of expecting to see him to come in very shortly. Just going off the tyre wear, and when he changed his tyres, will we see him in this time? No, not this time, so he's going to push on further. Manages to make his way around without clipping that start wall. Really quick through that apex, running the tighter line there. As we get to look at that stunning skin, it's a really nice skin there with the Italian tribute for the 458 and with that lean towards the Brazilian driver Senna. Just kicking up a little bit of dust there as he came around that corner. Just itching to see if he's going to go to the pits. We see Widdowmaker there. Yes, he does dive into the pits. Widdowmaker lives off the fear of getting lapped this time round. We're just going to delay that effort for a little while as NW comes round, and we're going to see NW pick up the lead of this race at this time. Roger in on 0 fuel. That probably showed us 1% as he went into the pit lane. NW now coming through the start finish. Roger stationary. NW goes to the pits as well, so he doesn't take the opportunity to go past. He's on 5% of fuel. Roger's taken 35 and on to softs. Just as Neil pulls into his pit box. Expecting to see Neil go on to the mediums, one would expect. Deadly pits also on the hards. Widdowmaker pits. Now NW comes out on the softs by the looks of it. It's all going in under the pit lane and the graphics not updating quick enough. We've just watched Roger coming down in second place into the final turn of the lap. Deadly backlight comes out on softs on 39%. Widdowmakers now on mediums, taking the fuel. Where did NW come out? NW must be frustrated to come out in 5th place after all that hard work, but it's going to be a longer stop for him this time because he had to take on board fuel. BB makes a similar mistake there, running wide into turn 1 and then off the exit on the right hand side as Widdowmaker exits the pits. Is that going to leave BB open to attack from behind from Roger? No, he's managed to close that door. The gap was bigger than you could see from the foreshortening from the camera lens. But Roger's there, he's on the case. Just applying pressure, lots of tyre smoke coming off as Widdowmaker now seriously under threat of getting lapped. But he had to pit at roughly the same time to take another set of mediums as we progress on to lap 40. We're now into the second half of the race clearly. As we watch Roger come round the outside, puts the tyre on the grass but keeps control of the car. BB up the inside, is he going to get that line to the top end of the cut straight? Roger starts to move across just to close that door. There's a slight bumper wings, but he's done it. He's done enough to just back BB off. And Roger takes up the mantle for the lead there. Now Widdowmaker's got to feel the pressure. Oh, and BB goes airborne, almost outbrakes himself. That's the second time we've seen somebody do that this race. As Roger comes round through the S's, followed by BB. Widdowmaker's going to be getting the blue flags. They're going to be waved at him. Let's see if we can just move out of the way so he doesn't interfere with anybody. BB's just hoping Widdowmaker's just going to hold up Roger that little bit. Into that corner, what you call corner 2. Widdowmaker pulls over to the left hand side and lets Roger through. BB just picks up on the draft of Widdowmaker into this corner. Widdowmaker goes wide and lets BB take the apex unhindered. Lapped on lap 41. But he's still got a problem there. Still none the wiser as to what it is. As Roger comes round setting a personal best. Almost 3/10 underneath his fastest lap. Widdowmaker seems to be running quicker at this point of the race, even though he knows he's got a problem he can't work out. Lap 42 as we just run back down the field. Roger in first place, BB second, Big Marsh third, Big Popper fourth, NW in fifth. NW holds the fastest lap of the race, a 46.049 at this point of the race. Let's just stick with him and see what he can do. Second set of softs is really starting to cook. The temperature's there and he's purpled by 1.5 tenths. Into the final corner, through unhindered, no real slip of the rear of the car. He's got Big Popper and Big Marsh in front, both positions to fight for. As he comes through the final corner, Big Popper dives into the pits on 9% fuel, and the fastest lap of the race goes to Neil again, a 46.013. Big Popper comes into the pits off mediums. Where we're going to go? We're going to stick on mediums. He's got to take fuel on board. As Deadly Backlight comes through and takes the 5th place from Big Popper. Deadly's really starting to settle into this racing kind of thing. Didn't really seem in tune with it when we first came across him, but he really is starting to develop. Just needs to get his head around the strategy a bit. Maybe it's just running these races will give him that opportunity. Big Popper comes from the pit, but unfortunately straight into the blue flags from the first place, and Widdowmaker now starting to really slow and look tedious and slow as he's coming through turn 1. He's not shaked those problems yet, but Big Popper looking fast. Brand new set of tyres. Going to start to push on, doesn't want to be lapped. Roger looks to be making ground, looks to have the potential to go past, but the fastest line, even though you're behind somebody there, very difficult to give up for the blue flags, especially if you don't want to lose time. But he's leaving an open door there. There's potential entry, and he runs wide and puts 2 tyres on the grass, allowing Roger to come through. Didn't look like he wanted to give it up, as most of us don't when we lose out, but unfortunately that's what the rules are. You've got to give it up at some point. The leaders need to be allowed to take their line. So BB just exit the pits there, or has he just gone in? He's just gone into the pits. NW up to third place as BB then comes out of the pits. We can see him behind us. So the battle now on between NW and Big Marsh. NW keeps making his way all the way back up to the field, to third, then to second, and then unfortunately just runs out of tyres and has to pit again. But Big Marsh is demonstrating the ability to... Oh, and he really piles into the wall. I was just about to say, he's demonstrating the ability to put together laps consistent. You can look at the timing on the right hand side. Every lap there, over 5 or 6 laps, a 47.9, a 47.5, a 47.1, a 47.7. Doesn't put in a bad performance at all, but just that one mistake's enough to hand that place to NW 555, which Neil will take. NW will take with open arms, not a problem at all. He'll have that, and he'll just start to push on. NW slightly wide into that corner, but gathers ground on 555. He's not going to be pushed back. He's not going to give up. So lap 47, we skip forward to the leader of the race. Roger just runs 2 tyres off the track there, it seems, but doesn't kick up any dirt. S's. He's picked up a couple of penalties so far through there, but he runs a flatter line through that corner, and he's running within half a second of the fastest lap of the race, so 46.5. I'd just ignore the timer on the right hand side, folks. It just seems to have a bit of a bug. I would take it out if we could, but you don't get the positions on the left hand side if you take the timing out. So it's all or something. We flick back to NW in second place. Now 6 laps on from when he set that fastest lap, lap 48. There's a potential his set of tyres are now potentially on the off. Maybe. We start to look at BB in 4th place. He's going to have to start coming through if there's a potential pit ahead for NW. See where BB goes on a fresh set of softs. Lap 49, first place for Roger. Probably early days to say it, but at this point of the race, first place on his pit stop strategy. How many laps is he now going to do on this set of softs? He's not, he's coming in. With that being the case, second place is 2 corners back, so it looks like there's a potential here for Roger on those softs on 2% of fuel, which he seems to have got timed nicely. Is he going to take another set of softs? And I'd guess at this point, my estimation, he'd need to stop at least one more time, as Neil cuts across the inside of the corner there. Didn't seem to have the right line. NW's into the pits, but dropping back down to 4th place. We seem to get a foreshortened camera shot. Is this Roger? This is Roger coming out the pits, and he comes out ahead of Big Marsh. Very difficult to make out the difference between the inside cockpit between Roger and NW. NW just exiting the pits now with taken fuel up to 35%. That's the soft tyres for NW, seems to make them work. So Roger made it in and out the pits without losing first place. Big Marsh though is within touching distance. But looking at the pit stop strategy for Big Marsh, he's run the hards, he's run the mediums. His next pit stops will go to softs, one would expect. You've got to run all 3 tyre types. Let's start just to run through them as we go through and see as Big Marsh comes to take BB. It looks like he's in the wrong side of the track though for it. BB looks like he's going to be able to hold the inside line and just keep Big Marsh away from the apex. He does, he runs through and holds on to second place. Nice and cleanly done. No dramas there, it was concise. It's my line, I'm taking it. And no arguments from Big Marsh, he just follows him round the back. So, by my reckoning, Roger's done all his tyres. At this point, BB only needs to take mediums, and he's done all his tyres. We're on lap 52. NW's taken all tyre types. Marco, as we said, he will be next to pit fairly soon, and he needs just to take softs, so his next stop will be to softs. He'll have to run them efficiently to get finished. Could be 2 sets of stuffs available to Marco at this point, as we just flick back to Roger. Big Popper, he's run hards and mediums at this point in the race, and his next stop will be for softs. Widdowmaker running mediums all the way through, he will run softs. He started on hards, he'll run softs at the end. Widdowmaker should be pitting anytime soon. Deadly's just gone in and taken hards. So you'd expect Deadly now to come in and take that set of mediums, because he started on soft, he's got hards, hards, hards. He's got one more stop to take. He's got to take those medium tyres to run him to the finish, which seems an unusual strategy with only 20 laps to go. He'd do that on a set of hards. Maybe he's going to try and just do a short sprint. As we just tie it with Big Marsh. BB comes across the line, just keeping that gap consistent to Big Marsh behind him. Widdowmaker looking like he's about to be lapped now, just for the first time by BB. So he's going to move out the way, one would expect. There he goes, out the way, nice and courteous. But he is closing in now on Deadly backlight. Widdowmaker's made steady progress, still reporting problems from that car. The car doesn't feel like it should. He can't work out what the problem is, but he can't run his normal consistent times as we flip back to focus on Big Marsh. His full name's Big Marshmallow, but for the purpose of this, he goes to the pits. BB now coming round. Big Marsh in on mediums as NW comes round to cross the start finish line. We can hear him go past. Big Marsh going to softs, one would suggest, according to my notes here. NW clears the pit lane easy. Big Marsh softs 53%, so that's checked. He's done all his tyres for the race. Widdowmaker pulls into the pit for what looks like his last set of mediums. Lap 55. He's going to have to run softs as well, so he knows he's got a little sprint shot on the old mediums. He'll take the last 5 or 6 laps on soft. That puts him in a dead even battle now with Deadly backlight, who also has to take mediums from this set of hards. So they've both got one pit stop left. It could be a very tight, close battle to the end of the race for Widdowmaker, just to try and lift himself that one position. As we focus on BB now, and back to Roger. Lap 56. Just putting in consistent fast laps as BB comes round, clipping the pit wall. BB's in for what looks like his final stop to take mediums. Roger's well ahead. Possibly one more pit to take. NW come past now. Is NW going to be able to get around and ahead of BB as as BB comes out the pits. 53% of fuel onto mediums as predicted. That will be his final stop. NW possibly needs to stop one more time as well, as he's now running softs. But NW is a good 25-30 car lengths clear. Not on his most lightning of laps though, NW. His lap times have dropped. Probably pushing those tyres a bit too hard as we drop back to Roger on lap 58. We know he's possibly got one more stop to go, which will drop him back into the clutches maybe, as these pit stops now start to turn out into the race strategy conclusion. Roger doesn't seem to have dropped pace at all. Look at those times on the right hand side, everything mid 46s. We flick over to BB, he's just got past Widdowmaker up to third place. Big Marsh in fourth. That battle there with Big Pop has been raging for the last 10-15 laps. There's a potential that could go all the way to the end. Just again depends on pit strategy. Looking at my notes, they've both probably got one more stop to go. And if we're talking about tyre types, they're probably on softs and pushing hard. I don't know. No, my notes are slightly wrong. Marco's completed his pit stop. He is on softs, so it's Big Popper's going to have to drop out of sequence shortly, as he's got one more pit stop to go. So BB now starts pushing on up the hill. Widdowmaker trying to hang with him, even though he's a lap down and starting to get used to this uneasy setup on this car. Something totally wrong with that as we flick back to NW. Oh, lap 59, yeah. NW potentially in need of tyres at this point. Roger also probably getting to the end of this stint. His personal fastest lap is a 46.209, some 2/10 under, so 2/10 over Neil's fastest lap. But the fast consistency of Roger today is the winning formula. And about 15 laps to go for all the competitors. The only one that might not do the 15 at this point is Widdowmaker. Very fast looking car. Nicely poised on the track. Never seems to take over to the red and white curbs there with Neil. Roger seems to go airborne over that lip as well. That's the third car we've seen do that today. Lap 61 of the race, going on to 62. Back to NW, that gap's not getting any smaller. That apex, look like the tyres are just starting to show the signs of wear. NW comes into the pits for his final stop. He's on softs, he will take softs by the looks of it. He's just got to take a minor flap of fuel. He'll be on to race to the end of the race. Here he comes to his pit box. His team seem to be on it straight away. Swap those tyres over. Deadly backlight comes onto the pits. Big Popper takes the pits as well. Deadly backlight needs to take the opportunity to go to those mediums, but he didn't. He's on softs. We'll look at that in a minute. Roger now completes the lap and he's back into the pits. Big Popper in the pits. Roger on 1% of fuel. That means Neil's away. Got his right tyres and he's chasing hard. Roger takes up to 54% as BB comes through. Roger's going to be charging out of the exit pit lane. You can see him in the map in the top right hand side. He's joining back to the track now. He's got roughly 10, 12, maybe 13 laps to go, and all he's got to do is hold that together. There he is, charging out the pit lane, coming up to the back straight. And it is really as simple as that. No accidents, no mistakes, no errors. No penalties would be good. Try and clear the back markers, even though there aren't many. Not a great field, not a great number in the field today. It's a bit disappointing for the series to have a reduced field, but it's a holiday season, exams are on. It's that time of year. Probably need to think more about when the best time to run a league series is, but it's the first one we've done, and it's produced some sparkling racing. It's produced some funny incidents, some unnecessary incidents, but let's focus on the positives. Let's keep it clean, let's keep it mean, let's keep it fast, and if we can do all three together, we'll have good racing. We're just going to stay with the leader now as he completes his laps. Looking at this, looking at my notes, there's 2 more pit stops to take place. Widdowmaker's going to pit for his final set of softs any lap now. Deadly still has to pit for a set of mediums. That was Roger putting in his fastest lap of the race, a 46.139 it looked like, as he dived over the hill, as BB runs around in second. Just a couple of minor braking issues into that corner. He got it clean this time for BB. Just a couple of incidents where he ran off the grass, but he's within touching distance with this win. Some 10 laps to go. He's got to do the same. He's just got to try and chase Roger down. Good, fast, consistent laps. Couple of slight slips there. You can see the drops into the 47s on the timing on the right hand side. If those lap times are correct, we know there's some small glitches in there. Looks like he got a penalty, Big Marsh, at some point. Looks like Neil got a penalty at some point there. So did Big Popper, showing a P on the right hand side. I think that's a bug, folks. I'd be ignoring them. Here's Deadly. We're expecting him in the pits shortly for his mediums. Lap 65. There's Widdowmaker in the background, and back to Big Popper. He's made his last pit stop, which dropped him back down from Big Marsh. NW is charging hard at this moment in time as we see Big Popper go round onto lap 66. Again, an exponent of the tighter line into the first turn. Lap 66. Personal best lap just been set of 46.430. Within touching distance, and there's Widdowmaker taking his final set of pit tyres. He'll be onto the softs and starting to charge for that fastest lap of the race, even with a car that doesn't feel right underneath him. He struggled with that car all race, from that first corner braking incident where Deadly appeared from nowhere from the left hand side. Widdowmaker takes those softs. Turn 3 of that lap resulted in him impacting into Big Popper, and then he seemed off sorts all race. Can't get the car stable, can't get it right. As we focus on W now, he's got to chase down the car in front. Big Marsh, there's an opportunity, you can see him right in front of him, and that's to be taken. Let's see if we can let the race director stay with this battle just while it concludes. Lap 67, maybe 8 laps of the race to go. Has Neil got what it takes to chase down Big Marsh? And has Big Marsh got the steels to stay ahead? There's probably 15 car lengths at this moment in time. It's just a shame that we can't see the lap time. Looks to have that car under very good control. Although if we look down at my notes, his last pit stop was on lap 54. That was some 14 laps ago. NW's last pit stop was on 62, just 7 laps ago. They're both on the soft tyres. That gap looks to be closing, but it's very difficult to see with the camera going away, with them going away from the camera like that. We don't have the ability to see the timing difference between the two cars, but it's very much shorter, isn't it? Very much closer. There's a possibility here that Big Marsh is sensing it. He won't be getting any calls from the pit wall to say he's closing in. What we don't want to see is any mistakes. This needs to be good. Fender to fender racing all the way to the finish line. Big Popper comes through the final turn there as we flick back, and Big Marsh just lets it go off the outside of turn 1. He manages to get it back onto the track, but that really has allowed NW to close up. Again, the foreshortening of the camera doesn't help, but it makes it look much closer. And NW now has just pulled round the back of the corner. There he is, lined up to make the pass. He's not going to get it into this corner. Oh, will he? Big Marsh opens the door and lets him go. He realises, I think, at this point that his tyres are done. He's on a longer stretch on them softs. And on lap 70, NW makes his way into 3rd place. That's a shame for Big Marsh. We know he's probably felt unjustly treated at the start of the race, bit battered, bit bruised. Managed to keep his cool, didn't overshoot in one of the corners, fighting back against NW, but had to give up that place late on in the race. So we come back to our leader turning onto lap 72. And we're expecting Deadly Backlight to come into the pits anytime soon to take. He's the only driver needing to take one more set of tyres. He needs to take those mediums. NW and Big Marsh still running round. Big Marsh not giving up at this point. Here's Big Popper valiantly battling his way through. Quite a way ahead of Deadly, but Deadly, Lou, you're going to have to start to think about that pit stop, sir. Lap 71. You're a lap down, so Widdowmaker 71 as well. And he's just the length of the back straight behind, which is potentially the pit stop. There's a chance for Widdowmaker to make that place up here. And at this point, Widdowmaker is looking like he's going to get lapped by 5th place as well at this point. Pretty much done everything he can, Widdowmaker, to try and get that bag of spanners called a car around this circuit. Deadly Backlight, the camera's focusing on him to make sure he takes his pit stop. Big Popper again coming around that final turn. As we flick back to Big Marsh and NW, that gap's getting bigger. Big Marsh not able to hold that gap down. NW stretching, there isn't much chance of NW. There's only less than a minute, or just over a minute now to conclude the race as we flick back to BB. Round onto lap 74. Are we going to see Deadly now take to the pits to take that final set of mediums? As we now focus on the leader on lap 74. Less than a minute, 50 seconds. He's going to get back to the start finish line and have to just complete one more lap. Do we think he's got the fuel? I'm sure he's calculated that. Even if he doesn't, he's got plenty of room to flick that down to fuel map 6 and coast it round that final lap. Or is he going to throw in and try and take that fastest lap away from Neil? We just saw his fastest lap drop off the list there of 46.137. Just 15 seconds left of the race. The race clock's ticking down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's it done. Anybody crossing the line now will be finished. And NW and Big Marsh finish in the position they're in. Unfortunately, they'll get classified as a lap down. Widdowmaker picks up a penalty as he comes through, trying to hold off Big Popper. He's had to drop the fuel map, and does Big Popper get him? No, he doesn't. Big Widdowmaker manages to hold him off. Comes through Roger to take the victory. His first one of the series. Deadly Backlight comes round, who hasn't taken his medium tyres. Is he going to try and do it on the final lap and pit in now? As BB comes through to claim that second place. some 15 seconds behind Roger. Deadly hits the final wall but doesn't take the tyres. Well, what's that going to mean then as we conclude the race? Well done to all competitors. Here's the final race results. Roger in first, BB second, NW third, Big Marsh in fourth, Big Popper fifth, Deadly Backlight in sixth, and Widdowmaker in seventh. With the points, the way that works out with the points, those points are added together from the pole position, from qualifying and the race, and the points are as they look on the right hand side. Fastest lap of the race going to NW, putting him on 19 points. Big Popper wins more points than the car ahead of him purely because of his qualifying performance, and the league standings after week 2. In first, BB with 36 points, joint first, but ahead because of his finishing positions. NW in second on 36. Big Marsh in third on 29, joint places with Roger, but Big Marsh and Roger have equal wins. Widdowmaker in fifth after today's poor result, but only 1 point behind the two guys tied for third. Big Popper in sixth, Deadly Backlight in seventh, and so on. And that concludes the race today. I'd just like to say a very special thank you to our channel members, and for those of you that watched today, it's really good that you come along. We're hoping to get this racing going, and we're going to round 3 at Watkins Glen shortly. We'll see you on the next one. All the best, folks. Take care.